Ever been in a relationship where one person seems super independent, avoids any form of emotional talk, and would literally leave the conversation or disappear if it gets too intense or too serious? Or is it you, perhaps? Well, this is what we call dismissive-avoidant behavior. Welcome, everyone. My name is Aurora. I am a relationship and feminine coach and soon to be RTT hypnotherapist. I am so pleased you're joining me today. So we're looking at dismissive-avoidant. We're going to see what has happened to them, what has made them become dismissive-avoidant as an attachment style. We're going to look at the signs that you will observe if you're dating or you're living with somebody with a dismissive-avoidant attachment style. Call them DA. And also we're going to look at how you can heal or have a balanced relationship with somebody who is a DA. Or if they are a DA, they want to learn how is it that they can be better in a relationship. So welcome aboard. Let's jump straight in. So what is it that makes somebody becomes a DA? So we've seen that attachment theory explains that we relate to others by love and connection. That's human nature. So what has been happening to an infant, because remember, attachment styles, we mainly get them from when we are infants or very small. And they may change during our lifetime due to situations we come across with other people in our lives. We can fluctuate, but let's get to that a bit later. So we are looking at somebody who's been deprived of any sort of emotional connection, emotional or physical connection, whose parents or carers have been overly critical at some point, quite dismissive of other people's emotions or the child's emotion in that instance. And what has happened to that infant, to that child, is that they have grown to say that the person is not available to me, right? And if the person is not available to me, I have to fend for myself, right? So where does that lead that individual? So as he grows or she grows up, she understands that her mojo is, I can only rely on myself, right? That reliance on others is not present. He or she doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't feel safe to ask for help, right? So that's been blocked because emotions equals weakness. And in their book, and the reason why they are so, they can be so distant is because they don't want to get close. They don't want to get emotionally close. And that's one of the big fears of a dismissive-avoidant. Emotional dependence, right? They don't want any of that, which is very understandable due to not feeling safe in creating connection with others, not feeling that they belong, right? Or even worthy of having that connection with the carers. So now we've looked at why they keep people at arm's length. Okay, let's look at the sign. You want to be able to spot a dismissive-avoidant because you want to know how to manage with a person, or if that person is worthy of your time and possible effort that you want to a certain extent to put in, or if that's you want to recognize, do I have those signs or not? So the first one is, you ready? Is they hate when there's too much emotional intimacy, right? Again, because they want to keep people at arm's length. If it gets too close, they are already 50% out of the way. Okay, the next one, number 2, they are overly independent, right? Because I can only rely on myself. That's their mojo, that's their mindset. Nobody's there for me. So if you see somebody who's refusing some sort of help, really to a large extent, you might ask yourself some questions. Why is that? What sort of attachment style he or she has? Is that somebody I can connect with? Is the door going to be open for me? Is it worth it? Right? So these are the questions you want to ask. And number 3, they prefer logic over feelings. Everything is processed on the mental plane because it has to be rational. It has to be logical. And otherwise it's not going to work. And you'll see a lot of people who usually have got a sort of very masculine job where it's very analytical. Not everybody, of course, but they would tend to reason feelings rather than feel the feelings, right? So that's an example. And then number 4, when they are in a partnership or a relationship with somebody, you would notice there's a need to feel alone, to give oneself alone time a lot, because they feel a bit suffocated in relationships. So they need to sort of breathe in to be able to be in that relationship, if that's going to work. And then the 5th one is a deep struggle to connect emotionally and be vulnerable, right? That's a very deep wound that they have, the fear of being vulnerable. And that makes total sense, right? You've been growing up, you've been ignored, rejected, dismissed. So you've learned to create a shell around you to protect